Just a small comment on the architecture that in my opinion, is needed if a project like Bacalhau or any type of decentralized computation platform needs to support if the platform is about to support parallel computation. So currently Bacalhau is doing great job, first of all, in doing one job at once, so you can describe the job as a Docker command to be executed on some input. This is great. This is UX is stellar because it's very easy. Then the Bacalhau supports parallel execution by doing the same command over the multiple files in the same directory. This is also stellar. The UX is very easy. Most of the use cases fits here, and that's great. But there are use cases where those two simple models, so no parallelization or parallelization based on executing one command over multiple of files in the same directory, is not working. There are complex problems. For example, perhaps doing a distributed query over some not well-structured data sources. For example, good example of this situation is a situation when you need, at some point of the computation, you need new nodes to enter the job because you figure out that you need more to do something more, and you do not know this in advance. You know this in the middle of execution. But how to describe that kind of execution? So in my opinion, you cannot do parallel computation in general to be supported by the platform. So there needs to be some domain-specific code that is supporting parallel execution, and that domain-specific code needs to be based on something that is generic. So this is the SDK. So those are those COD general components. This is this SDK that is common for all of the domains. And for each of the domains, for each type of parallel computations that are complex, that cannot be solved by by the things that Bacalhau already support, you need to have separate imperative part, the green one, that support the parallel computation. That domain-specific code can be based on the SDK. And the last thing I am postulating is the fact that for the user, it is best to express his problem in declarative way, so not to define like Hadoop MapReduce when he wants to just do a SQL query. So we have this declarative problem expression. Sorry? Yeah. Thank you. So we have this declarative problem expression at the app, and this can be expressed in the CLI or as a part of a user defined code. Then there is some computation domain-specific engine that translates this declarative problem expression, then optimize it. Then there is a planner that talks to this provider storage distribution discovery. In general, the planner needs to know about the data locality. Then we have some scheduler, and then we have some generic market agent that chooses providers, because there might be multiple providers with the same storage, but with some properties that makes a difference. And in some scenarios, the computation domain-specific code also need to implement the market strategy itself. Like, this is the architecture we have in Golem. Not exactly. We do not have all of this. For example, we don't support this declarative problem expression. But in general, I am stating that Bacalhau needs SDK in order to build those computation. I have not done that. Yeah, so I am stating that Bacalhau, if wants to support complex parallel problems, you need to have, or we need to have SDK in Bacalhau, and only then we are able to write those components. Yeah, so that's, I just wanted to share this.
Because we don't have enough developers. But yeah, but what is important? The one thing that makes very big distinction between Golem and other platforms I did due diligence 1 year ago. Now I don't know, but one year ago, Golem was only one platform, the distributed computation platform, that actually provided SDK and introduced the conception of the requestor as a first-class citizen. So we have a code that can query a market, like define the requirements, query a market, do the computations on the chosen providers, and then probably do it again or again or again.
Yeah.
Like depending on the outcome, depending on what is happening. So we are, in most of the part, we are supporting this, but we are not supporting this declarative problem expression. So
Got it.
because it's up to the domain. So like this is to be done by the users of the platform. We are supporting the SDK, and the rest is to be implemented by the users of the platform.
Did you develop custom language? Sorry, I'm gonna just keep asking because I'm curious. Did you develop custom language bindings, or did you just use like Swagger, or I don't know what? Any learnings from you?
So in general, it works like this. I don't have a diagram. I can like have a session on that because I would love to share this like online. So we have, so here, those components expose REST interface.
Got it.
And here we have so-called high-level API, and it's available in Python and in JavaScript.
Okay.
And we also have C# implementation on that.
Wow.
And what is interesting, currently, our partners are developing this high-level API for Android.
Wow.
Because we are implementing this decentralized VPN. This is like something else, quite interesting. But yes, we support that for many languages, and we see the existence of such API as a requirement.
Okay. Did you, one more quick question, please. If anyone else has something, please jump in. But did you try any like auto-generated SDK stuff, like Swagger, to reflect into language-specific bindings, or did you feel like you had to hand code it?
So of course, so this interface, that is REST interface, this interface has auto-generated layer in Python.
Got it.
And in JavaScript, and then over this layer, over these stubs, we have another layer that makes the usage of this low-level API easier. So the abstractions are more useful, and you can do like with some statistics. On this level, you can write quite complex stuff in 100 lines of code, and when you are using the REST level, it is 1,000 line of code. So
perfect. That's great.
I would like to clarify more about what is the difference between the Airflow integration with Bacalhau with the proposed approach. I'm still not clear for me the gap or the difference, because as far as I understand with Apache Airflow is that you can define the step of the execution of the tasks. Each of that task will actually be submitted to Bacalhau requester node, which is what looks here as the market agent that will figure out the data locality, which node is supposed to execute the job. And you can define with Apache Workflow, you can define the task to run concurrently, on parallel, or if you would like to wait for the result of the previous one.
There is a difference, because if you have static definition of pipeline, you are limited to, like, you cannot do imperative stuff. So if for example, in some point of your pipeline, you would like to make a decision, in Airflow, you cannot define that properly. Maybe you buy some plugin, but in general, the pipeline definition is static. And this gives you imperative power. Like, you can discover in some moment of your execution, you may discover that you need to do something more. And this is very flexible. I would state that not all cases need this. Only some. For most of the cases, Bacalhau current solution is enough. But But I would say that if you want to build real products, you need something like this, because in one moment you highly likely need something like this.
So I haven't used Airflow before, honestly, but I assume that because it's written in Python, it's that you should be able to make decisions halfway through based on the result of the previous task on what are the next tasks to execute. I just assumed that as part of Airflow, but
Yes, this is like, it's not only reason we did so. In general, you have a big flexibility. For example, you might need to have some example. So if you want to manage the risk with the reputation, you can have your local list of providers that did stuff wrong for you, and you can store this list locally and build it into your local market agent, and your local market agent can use the knowledge you gathered through the interaction with the decentralized node network, and then you have some local knowledge about the providers that do bad things for you, so you will not use them in future. So that kind of a flexibility is very easy to build if you have this kind of structure, and the developer controls that.
I see. Yeah, I think the path that was followed, it's good feedback, appreciate that. I think the path that was followed in the example that Enrico provided is that we drew the line on selecting the task that needs to be executed. That is part of the Airflow. And then how to execute the task, which nodes, the reputation, based on that locality, all of that is external of the orchestration. It's part of the requester node that any other job would go into the same path.
So in our model, we have the developer have a choice. The developer can use the strategies that are built in the SDK, or he can use his own. In fact, in our model, the developer can write a part of the things that are part of the high-level API, and in some points fall back into the REST API and to do very crazy stuff. But market is not in a place to explore all of those possibilities. I'm stating that it is very good that Bacalhau has working product that scales, that works, and not necessarily need to do all of this stuff, because we need to have clients and real users first. This is more important than all this flexibility.
Thank you.
I guess that right now we can sort of easily add support in Bacalhau to make it aware that DAG is being executed, and in that set of jobs are part of a DAG, and actually make scheduling decision based on that, like maybe collocate jobs within certain certain network and certain nodes and so on. So I think maybe that's kind of what you were aiming for, Walid?
No, I agree with you. I think the easier part is trying to there is a problem of trying to co-locate the tasks, because there is no need for them to be executed in different parts of the world. And then the other case, which is you want to parallelize the execution. Thank you.